Okay, I'm going to show you how we can make up a running buffer. This is a standard running buffer, a tris acetate EDTA, which is called TAE, a buffer that is used for separating DNA fragments. Today we're going to be using a 0.5 times solution of TAE for making our gels and for making our running buffer. So we'll start off by creating a 1 litre stock of this buffer. There are a number of aliquots of TAE that's been prepared for you. You see it'll be written on the top, it will say TAE, and it'll say on the side times 10 TAE. So times 10 basically means this is 10 times more concentrated than we require. So to make a 0.5 times solution, take one 50 milliliter aliquot and add it to a 1 litre measuring glass. That's sufficiently accurate, so you don't have to get every last drop out. Then take the 1 litre flask and use the distilled water from our tank here to fill up to the 1 litre line. Okay, you can see that's filled to the 1 litre line. That is plenty accurate enough. Okay, now that is your 1 litre of 0.5 times tris acetate EDTA, TAE buffer. And we'll use this now to create our gels. Okay, now we've made our 1 litre running buffer, TAE running buffer, we're now going to make our gel. First thing you need to do is take your 250 milliliter bottle, which has been labelled gels. Take the top off there and go to the scales. Press the lid on the scales, then press the tar rate button. It's got a 0 and a T. This will then set the scales to 0. Take the Agarose, and we're going to now make a 0.8% gel, and we're going to do it in 150 millilitres. So if you do the maths on that, that's 1.2 grams of agarose that we require. So simply use a clean spatula to add the agarose, taking care not to spill, into the lid until you have 1.2 grams. If you go slightly over, as I've done here, don't put the agarose back in the tub, just remove it. Your accuracy can be within 0.01 or 0.02, so 1.2 grams, if you reach 1.2 grams on the scale, that's perfectly accurate enough. Then take the agarose and simply tip it into the bottle, like so. It's now all in. Your agarose is now all in the bottom of the bottle. Then take your running buffer and add to the 150 milliliter mark. So you've filled up, so it just goes onto the 150 milliliter mark. And simply put the top back on the bottle and give it a few shakes to mix. That's now ready to put in the microwave and melt. Okay, so I'll now show you how to set your gel, get your gel ready. We have these gel tanks here and the casting tray and the equipment required. The 2 rubber stoppers that go on either end and the cone which will be used for forming the welds. Always make your gel on one of these trays. We are using a non-carcinogenic DNA dyes called Safeview. However, sometimes you may use ethidium bromide or something. So always make sure you keep it within the tray. So any contamination with ethidium bromide can be localized to the tray and then decontaminated. So to prepare your gel moulding cast, quite simply take the rubber stoppers and place them one at either end of the casting mould. As simple as that. Make sure they're in place like that, and that will now be safe and watertight. Okay, so what you then do is the Agarose gel that you melted in the microwave, when it's cool, so to about hand temperature, around about 50, just a bit warm, around about 50 degrees or something like that, you can then pour it into your mould. Quite simply take the top off. First of all, you need to add your DNA dye. The safe view that we are using has a working concentration of 1 microliter of dye per milliliter of Agarose. We have here 150 milliliters, so we need 15 microliters of the dye. So use a P20, set like so, 15 microliters. Take a tip, remember your pipetting technique, don't jam the pipette in, remove like so, take 15 microliters out, like that, and simply pipette it in. Discard your tip in the waste, put the lid back on the bottle and gently swirl it around to make sure that the dye is all within the lid, all within the Agarose. And remove the lid again and simply pour in to the casting. Take back on, keep that there. Then take your comb, in this case we want the large combs, and place it, in this case, in the top one. Make sure that this is facing forwards. So you place it in to the top lane like so, and there you go. Okay, then leave the gel to set. It'll take around about 20 minutes. The gel has now set. You can see that it has a quite translucent appearance and a little bit crinkly on the top. If you see the side, you can see that the gel is now set. I actually have used 2 combs in this particular gel, but you'll be only using 1. So what you need to do now is you need to set up the actual gel tank to run the gel. So it's easier to have it that way around, as if you remember, DNA runs to red, so it will be moving in this direction. So take your gel tank, remove the lid, like so, and then set up so you can actually remove the rubber stoppers. Now be careful when you remove them initially, so slowly peel off a little bit until you can see that the gel lets go from the rubber, and then that will stop it from ripping too much. If you're not careful, you can rip this, and that little bit there can be torn out and destroy your welds. So do the same on the other side, set off a little bit, and then there you go. Simple as that. So that's now ready to put into the gel running tank. So in we go, we place it in position like so. Then take the rest of the running buffer that you made before, minus the 150 milliliters used for the gel, and just pour it into the tank. There's a line on the side of the tank which actually says the max fill level, so don't go above that. So simply pour in like so until you reach that max fill level. You should have maybe about 120 or 130 milliliters of running buffer left. Once that's actually in, then carefully remove your combs. So place your hands on either end like that and lift up like so. The gel may come out a little bit, but there you go. It's come out quite nicely. And that's nice one. And for the other one. Your gel is now ready for loading. Put the top back on until you're ready to actually load your gel, as this protects it from dust or anything else from landing into your tank until you're ready to run it. Okay, so I'm now going to show you how to do how to load your samples. So when you're ready to load, take your lid off your gel, which has been stopping dust, etc., from getting in there, and get your tips ready. Use a P20 or a P10. I've got 10 microliter samples this time, so set to 10 microliters. I actually like to use the 10 microliter tips for this, even though you can't use the ejection mechanism. They're very fine and you're able to pipette your samples very nicely. So take one of your prepared samples. If there's a little bit that's gone up the side, simply tap it like so, and you see that most of the liquid has gone down to the side. You could spin it if you required, or just push the liquid down using your pipette tip. You can see there now all the liquid is ready at the bottom. So simply aspirate up the amount of liquid, exactly 10 microliters as you can see. The technique I like to do is I like to use my left hand as a stabilizing one. So I rest it like so, lean over, put the tip into the well, and then just simply press down. And there you go. Nice and simple. To get rid of these tips though, you have to pull them off the end. And then I put that in there and discarded that. So that's one sample loaded. So we'll go through the other samples, the same again. Aspirate up. There's your 10 microliters all aspirated. Balance into the well and gently press down. And we'll carry on and I'll just load the rest of the samples. Then normally you would add a DNA ladder, which is a reference set of DNA fragments for you to determine the size of whatever you're looking at in your DNA fragments that you're analysing. So turn your pipette down to 5 microliters and load your appropriate DNA ladder. And this time we're going to use Hyperladder 1 from BioLab. Now load one 5 microliter aliquot at one end, and occasionally it's also a good idea to load another 5 microliter aliquot at the end of your samples. This will allow your reference software, like the ImageLab software, to create a nice balance for you to check the sizes of your DNA fragments. So there I've got 5 microliters at either end. Close the lid, put that back, place down your tip. Place the electrodes containing lid over, like so, and then go to your power pack. The power pack should be switched on. There's a button on the side then, which turns it on, and then you see the power ready to go. Turn the power up in this case to 150 volts. And then press the run button, which looks like a little running man. It will go green. You can then look down at your gel, and what you should be able to see when you look down at your gel are bubbles that are coming there from the black electrode, which is the cathode. And your gel will now move down.